hopefully you fasten your seatbelts for the next 2 hours.
Right.
That's nonsense, Clint. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
I don't care what you buy.
That's
just
nonsense.
My feeling.
You're not just buying a racetrack. You're buying a piece of American racing history right there. I mean, that's huge. The history behind the track, just mind-boggling.
You hear a lot of rumors in the rumor mill. I'll just keep tuning in to you guys to hear the truth when we come down to it. So
don't do that. I've already had one dose of tin hat syndrome today. I don't need a second one.
Stuart Friesen said to Brett, he says, "Why don't you bring us to more places like this?" And Brett goes, "There isn't any other place like this."
Race fans, it's time to throw it up on the cushion and get dirty. Coming to you live from the Finger Lakes and Southern Tier, it's time for Turn 5 Live. Now, your hosts of Turn 5 Live, Steve Ovens, Clint Miller, and Brad Ovens.
Fired up, race fans. It's time to get ready and drop the hammer. Coming off of 4 broadside, ready for Turn 5 Live here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Welcome aboard, race fans. I got to tell you what, this has been a crazy, crazy week as far as dirt track racing news goes, if you're a pavement, or as Clint and I like to say, if you're a tar car fan. And I know some of our tar car fans out there are listening tonight. Yeah, I'll tell you what, whether it was pavement, dirt, NASCAR, you name it, there has been some serious business has been picking up for sure. We've got a lot of things to talk about tonight. I got an entire page of notes on things to talk about tonight. Clint Miller off tonight. He's got this nasty flu bug that's been going around. It's been going around all over the place. Brad Ovens alongside with me here, and Brad, it looks like we've steered clear of the flu bug here.
Yeah, I think when you work in healthcare, you're automatically, your immune system's on defense 100% of the time. So I kind of find I might get sick once or twice during the year if it gets really bad, but for the most part, I tend to steer away from most of it.
Talking, some dirt track news here. I'll tell you what, man, I don't know about you, but from my perspective, it has been a crazy week with some of the things that have been coming out. I got to tell you, Area Auto was chocked full of news, rumors, new things happening. It has been wild lately.
Oh yeah, there's news coming from almost every touring series and even a couple new ones springing up, which I think caught a little bit of everybody off guard, and a lot of announcements coming out and big shows getting scheduled, and it's a great time to be in racing.
And isn't it appropriate that all of this is going down, and here we are at Motorsports Expo Week, where we typically see, a lot of news, a lot of race schedules come out. Isn't it appropriate that, on the week of the Expo, usually we're waiting to hear all this news at the Expo, and I got to tell you, I know there's more to be found out at the Expo, but we certainly found out a lot out this week, and we're going to talk about it tonight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Expo is always good for some big announcements. You get to see the paint schemes for the first time on a lot of the bigger cars, the bigger name cars and teams. I know the Ruggles are going to unveil their cars up at the Expo. And you get to go around and talk to all the different racetracks and see what everybody's got going on. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Looking over the short list of what we got on the program tonight, we've got news from Outlaw Speedway. We've got news from Woodhull Raceway. We've got news from the Race of Champions, which is going to pertain to both the dirt and the asphalt tour. We've got news on a brand new series, the American Pavement Series. That's going to be the American Modified Pavement Series. Excuse me, AMPS is the abbreviation for that new series headed up by Chris Zacharias. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well, because as this whole Race of Champions disagreement, I guess we'll say, has been going on quite publicly between Andrew Harpel and as well as Joe Skotnicki. This brand new series headed up by Chris Zacharias pops up today in the news. So that was pretty interesting. We're gonna have Doug Elkins on the program with us tonight at 8:30 to get his reaction on all the things that have been going down, as well as his reaction to everything we saw at Volusia with the Super Dirt Car Series, as we're just not too long away here from getting things fired up here in the Northeast. I know Brett Deo's got the Short Track Super Series going to fire up this weekend at Georgetown. Matter of fact, they're running practice as we speak down there in Delaware. So they're already getting fired up, and the weather has been absolutely fantastic here lately. Jacob Seelman's going to join us at 7:45 tonight. Tom Baker will join the fray at 8 o'clock, and boy, do we have some topics that we don't necessarily agree about. And there's going to be some pretty heated and pointed discussion, which we love. We love it here on PMN. They give us a great platform to get our viewpoints out there. And, as always, these are all the viewpoints of all of our hosts and guests, either on the Skype line or on the hotline. Of course, those views, not necessarily the views of either PMN or our marketing partners. So always keep that in mind as we have all of our discussions tonight. But, Brad, let's talk about the weather real quick here, because the weather has really taken a change for the good here, particularly in the Finger Lakes and Southern Tier. I drove home in mid-70 weather today down here along I-86. And you, over the weekend, spent quite a bit of time over at Outlaw Speedway, where they're laying down brand new clay.
They did. I spent the weekend over there helping them kind of just pick rocks and just kind of watching, taking pictures, updating the Facebook pages. And I'll tell you, it was unbelievable to see how much clay was sitting right there in that tractor pull strip just off the front stretch. And I think if anybody looks at it when they go to the Outlaw for the first time, they're going to see there used to be a big incline to get from the front stretch to the infield, and they pulled all that clay out of there, so that incline is now about 25 times less than what it used to be. So I mean, it's incredible to see the amount of clay that they were able to pull out of it and put into the corners. And right now, the warm weather is going to do wonders for the guys to get it ripped up and get it graded in and get it mixed in with the existing dirt. And I think the warm weather this week's really going to help be a plus for them to get the ground loosened up some.
Now, I've already seen some pundits on social media talking about the fact that you can't mix the clay in with it right now. It's going to be all rutted up. It's going to take them a month to get rid of the ruts. Now, Brad, you were with the guys doing all this work this weekend. What were they saying in regards to people out there that felt like maybe they shouldn't be doing this right now? I mean, in my mind, knowing that you had all this good weather coming up, that to me that would, and again, I'm no expert at racetrack preparation. I'm far from it, but it just seems like with all this good weather, this was a great opportunity to try and get a head start. It's not all the clay they want to put on the track, certainly, but now seems like a pretty good time to get started a little bit at a time.
Oh, yeah, this was just a small scratch just to help the corners, to try and cut down on some of the tire wear that some of the modified guys and even some of the street stock guys were seeing, just some horrendous wear on the car, on the tires, and just to try and get some actual clay down in spots where they were actually racing on dirt last year. So, but, I've got the perfect quote for it. Robbie Conklin is over at the track working with Tyler now. He's the full-time track guy that's taking care of the track, maintaining it. The track, that surface and the grounds are going to be his baby, for the 2016 season and on. And he had the perfect statement that if the track does get rutted up in the corners where they're putting the new clay down, we own a grader, we own a front end loader, and we own trucks. So if it gets too rutted, we'll peel it back up and take it off, and we'll wait until we do it at the end of the year this year. So for the guys that are saying, oh, it's going to rut up, and you also have to remember the amount of clay that they put down is minimal. They didn't put down a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet of clay. They put just enough clay on the surface to try and work some clay into that surface to help the track, as they'll do throughout the year, as long as everything goes okay. So it's not like they put a large amount of clay and they didn't dig down into the track and replace all of the clay completely. So I don't see it getting big, rutted up, and being any worse than it was last year.
And I think, this was all part of Tyler's plan. Just do a little bit at a time, get it mixed in. Trying to do it all was going to be kind of crazy. I don't think that would have, then we really would have had some struggles early on at Black Rock, back when it was called Black Rock, and at other facilities. When you try and put a whole brand new surface down, it tends to create some problems. So I like their approach here. And Brad, I think it's great to have Robbie Conklin back, working the surface. Between his efforts, the Pavosky boys, Dan when he promoted the track, Mike when he promoted the track, you've got some really top-notch guys taking care of the facility.
Oh yeah, and talking to Robbie this weekend, I mean, he knows what Tyler wants to do with the place, and he's that guy that's been there. He knows that facility like the back of his hand, and it was really like a matter of nothing. They went in and they scraped off the surface all the loose crud and junk and all the rocks off the top of the surface, assessed what they had. The big thing that I'm going to mention that they did that I can't say enough about that I love is they got rid of the berms on the inside of the track. They are going back to the turtles, though. There are going to be the turtles in the corner, but they're going to have Yoop tires placed in between the turtles. And Robbie said, if it gets to the point where guys are using and hitting the turtles, we'll move the Yoop tires out. So we kind of push the racing surface up towards the outside of the racetrack to try and use more of the track than what was used in the past. So these guys have a lot of good ideas, and I only see good things coming.
All right, man. We got a lot more to talk about. Jacob Seelman's going to join us in the next segment. We're going to talk World of Outlaws as they continue their West Coast swing to Las Vegas and Arizona. We'll talk Woo next here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up. See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time.
What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
Hi race fans, this is Kelly Hebing and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Welcome back, race fans, to Turn 5 Live here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen and Brad Ovens and Jacob Seelman now joining us on the hotline here on Turn 5 Live. Jacob, we're getting ready to talk World of Outlaws, and there's a whole lot of other things going on too, but why don't we start with the World of Outlaws, because we had some really great storylines this past weekend out in Vegas and out at Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, can you ask any more of these guys when you go and get 3 wins by 3 different drivers, 3 different series regulars, all in the same weekend? I mean, it's nigh on incredible at that point, Steve. And when you look at the fact that, okay, you've got the little Roth Motorsports team with Joey Saldana pick up a win at Las Vegas. You've got Donnie Schatz, who I came on this show a week ago and said, what the heck? They're completely out to lunch, and they got a win. And then you've got Shane Stewart take the Outlaws to Arizona Speedway and pick up a win in the Larson Marks machine. It's one of those where we had a weekend of parity, and it was a whole lot of fun to watch.
It certainly was. Let's start with the win by Donnie Schatz. We talked so heavily last week on both Motorsports Madness, which airs Monday nights at 7 o'clock here on PMN, as well as Turn 5 Live here on Tuesdays. And, let's start there, because we talked so heavily about KKR that, we were like, well, where's Donnie Schatz? Where's the guy that won 30-plus races last year? And he goes to Vegas and says, hello, I haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah, no, he's not gone anywhere at all, Steve, and it's not surprising to me either to see what that team did in rebounding. He likes Las Vegas. It's never been one of his statistically best tracks, but yeah, I don't know that there's a track that we go to on the Outlaws schedule that Donnie is particularly bad at. I think he's won just about everywhere there is to win on tour now. So all in all, this is what we expect from those guys. This is what we go to the racetrack and we look for them to do, and Donnie did that. He picks up a big win and puts himself right back thoroughly in the conversation in points, too. He was floundering down there 6th, 7th in territory that we're not used to seeing him in, Steve, before this past weekend. He's up to 3rd now. So, all that talk about Donnie being out to lunch, okay, we'll put that in the drawer and save it until the next time he blows a motor or something like that. That seems like about the only time we ever have to bring it up.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, you talk about, things we expect to see, and those things coming, from Donnie Schatz, but how about things that maybe we didn't expect to see in Joey Saldana picking up a big win for Roth Motorsports?
Oh, my goodness. Joey Saldana, that was a shock to me, quite frankly, because I could have told you 5 guys that I thought would win before I thought the 83 for Roth Motorsports was going to go to victory lane. And that's no disrespect to Joey Saldana as a driver at all. That's from a standpoint of this is a team that has not been full-time on the World of Outlaws Tour in quite some time, and I expected it to be a little bit longer of a learning curve, or a relearning curve if you want to call it that, for those guys in order to be comfortable with what they're doing. But to pick up a win like that out at Vegas, one of the most prestigious tracks that the Outlaws go to on a regular basis, Steve, I think that's a statement victory for this team, and I don't think you can count out Joey Saldana. If he can keep it going long term, that team sits second in the points right now, and you and I both know there's some tracks in the Midwest. They don't call them the Brownsburg Bullet for nothing. Those Indiana, Illinois tracks that the Outlaws hit during the summer stretch, Joey has always been very, very, very good at. And I anticipate that if he can survive this Western swing in good position, you'll see that team in contention for the championship later this season, kind of like we're seeing Brad Sweet in contention right now.
Yes, we are. And you bring up a really good point about Saldana, because he, look over the course of the last couple of seasons, and he's a guy that's always toward the top as far as QuickTime awards go. And so you consider that, and it's been with, rather he was with a first class team like when he was with Casey Kane Racing, or with teams that are not quite at that level. They're close, but not quite at that level. When you think of a Modern Motorsports that was searching for sponsorship to continue to go full time, or even now Roth Motorsports, and I love that little team that could, kind of mentality with those guys.
Oh, yeah, I love it too, Steve, and I think this is an organization that is absolutely a snake in the weeds as far as the championship battle. I think that your organizations like your Larson Marks, your Casey Kane Racing, your Tony Stewart Racing, those are organizations that probably count Joey Saldana out, not from a driving standpoint, but from an equipment standpoint, just knowing that that team is not what the power teams are. And I think that's a very, very dangerous thing to do, because if you let that team get comfortable and let that team fall into a rhythm where they can pick up some wins and pick up some quick times, oh, you better look out, because they can sneak up and bite you, just like Brad Sweet has kind of snuck up and bitten Donnie Schatz and TSR early in the season. I think that's another example of a team where, when they can find a rhythm, they're scary good. And that's how Joey has always been over the course of his career, Steve. Like you said, with just about any team that he's been with on the Outlaws Tour, he's gone out and performed, and I think that's as much driver as it is anything else. I think that's why I've always told people, at least, that if you're looking solely on talent, there are two drivers that I would hire to put in my World of Outlaws sprint car: Donnie Schatz or Joey Saldana. I've always said I think those two are the most talented drivers anywhere in the league, and they continue to back it up week after week, race after race.
You talk about guys that have all that talent, and now we look at the winner from Arizona. The first trip for the World of Outlaws there on Sunday night, and Shane Stewart gets a win that, in my opinion, I think that team badly needed that win for sure.
Yes. Oh, yes. They needed a win big time, Steve, because that's a team that did not have a lot of momentum leaving Florida and leaving the Dirt Car Nationals. And, they ended last year on a real high. They were trying to chase down Donnie, and they had cut the gap some, picked up some big wins to end the season, performed well at the World Finals at Charlotte, and they thought they were going to come in 2016 like gangbusters and be able to take it right to these guys, and they came into 2016 and it wasn't like gangbusters, Steve. In fact, it was more like that two team came in with a little bit of a whimper, to be honest, because their results through the first 5 or 6 races of the season were not at all what we're used to seeing from them, or what I anticipated them being able to do. And I know it was a combination of a lot of things and some bad luck thrown in there too, but I think they needed to remind themselves, hey, we still know how to do this, and they were able to do just that with that Ineos Larson Marks GoPro number 2, and now is when you see Shane Stewart get back on the high horse. Now is when you see that team and that driver really start to jump at this. I think this is the point now. The breakthrough's over. We got our first win of the year. Shane Stewart goes on the attack at this point. He's got to, because if he lets Donnie and Brad get out to that 200, 300, 400-point lead early on in the summer like they did a year ago, you're hard-pressed to run any of those guys back down. Shane's got to keep pace quickly. Otherwise, he'll be out of the championship equation. And I think he knows that based on what he told me at Charlotte in November. He said that we got behind and it cost us the championship. If he can keep it together, he's still a title contender. Like you said to me right back at the beginning of the season, Steve, you thought that the 2 was going to be the champion at the end of the year. I say he can still do it, absolutely.
And you bring up a good point about not getting too far behind early. I mean, you look at the top 5 guys right now in points, they're all within 79 points of each other. But when you go back to 6th, you've got Sammy Swindell, 119 points back. And you go back to 7th, and now it's 131 points to David Gravel. And we're only 8 races into a 90-plus race schedule. So you can get behind in a hurry.
Yeah, you can, and obviously you got to take Sammy completely out of the equation because we know he's not racing the full schedule this year. It's just been a matter of convenience that he's run all of the first 8 races so far. David Gravel, I'm a little disappointed by. I seriously thought he would be a little bit closer in the championship points early on than he's been, and I hope to see that gap shrink a little bit here over the course of the next month to 2 months' time as we start to get into the heart of the season a little bit. But, the 5 guys who are within that 100-point range right now are the 5 guys that we expect to be challenging for the championship every single year. The 2 Casey Kane cars, you've got Saldana, you've got Schatz, and you've got Stewart. So, those are the 5 guys we expect to be in that mix. I don't think that we're surprised that anybody else is really kind of out of reach here. Gravel's taken a step up by being able to team with Sammy and being able to rely on some of that expertise and the resources that CJB has. I think he could become a surprise 6th player in this right now, Steve, but I don't think anybody that I don't think that anybody that I would worry about being behind is actually behind right now. Your 5 power players are where they need to be. They're within 100 points, and I think they're going to continue to shuffle that up all the way through this season because all 5 of them are too good to not win multiple races before we get to the summer stretch.
Absolutely. I'm with you for sure. Jacob, we got a lot of good discussion going here. We're going to hang on to you for the next segment and talk some more newsmakers of the week.
Sounds good to me. Looking forward to it.
All right. We'll have more with Jacob Seelman from Race Chaser Online next here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Max Dairy Bar is a proud supporter of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Opened in 1974, Max Dairy Bar has been a Penn Yan, Cayuga Lake, and Yates County staple, serving the best Hershey's hard ice cream. They also have soft serve ice cream, their weekly yogurt special, sorbet flavors, gluten-free options, frozen Greek yogurt, and non-dairy lemon ice. Don't forget about their tricky 18-hole putt-putt course that will test your skill to see if you have what it takes to be a champion. Max Dairy Bar and Mini Golf, located on State Route 14A, just south of the village of Penn Yan, right on the way to Black Rock Speedway on Friday nights. Visit them online at www.maxdairybar.com or Max Dairy Bar on Facebook and Twitter. Stop by Max Dairy Bar and tell them Turn 5 Live sent you.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
Hi, race fans. This is Nick Cooper, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Nick Cooper bringing us back from commercial break here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen and Brad Ovens, Tom Baker joining us tonight, as well as Jacob Seelman on the hotline from RaceChaserOnline.com. And Jacob, we'll bring you back in here. We're going to have Tom on with us in just a moment. But we've got some things that have been happening up here in the Northeast, and one item that slid across your desk here over the last week was the bombshell announcement that Glenn Donnelly was pulling out of Rolling Wheels Raceway Park and, taking all of their focus and putting it toward Central New York Raceway Park in Syracuse. Tell us a little bit, some of your reactions to, certainly that was a popular news item over the last week.
Well, Steve, to be honest, before I get into the whole CNYRP Rolling Wheels debate, I was almost offended that you're making me deal with Tom a third time this week until you brought this particular subject up. And then I got excited because I have a feeling he and I are about to argue for a minute. But as it is, this is not necessarily shocking to me as much as it is put up or shut up time, as far as I'm concerned, for Glenn Donnelly and the whole staff at CNYRP. This decision was made 100% to devote their focus and their resources to the CNYRP project and making sure that, if they're going to do what they said they were going to do, that things are going to be ready in time for Super Dirt Week here coming up in October, and that facility is going to be ready to host a race of that magnitude. There's been a lot of things going on in regards to the Rolling Wheels portion of this puzzle that I'll get to in a second, but in regards to Donnelly's decision to do this, this is absolutely put up or shut up time. If you're going to make this call and you're going to pull some of your resources out of or rather all your resources out of Rolling Wheels and devote everything you got into CNYRP, there needs to be palpable progress. I need to be able to see that they're actually trying to do what they say they're going to do in order for me to believe that this whole deal isn't just a giant dumpster fire, as you termed it the other night. And, at the end of the day, I hope for everybody's sake involved in this, Donnelly and all the staff that he's brought in to make this work, I hope that they prove me wrong in that, they get this done and that things are ready to go in time for Super Dirt Week, because I'm in your camp, Steve, in the fact that I don't believe that this project is going to be ready in time to host Super Dirt Week the way it needs to be hosted in October, and it just is another another nugget into the long laundry list of reasons why I thought this was an ill-advised project in the first place, but again, that's a story for another day. In regards to Super Dirt Week, if I can tangentially tie this in and probably fire Tom up a little bit to talk about it even more, the rolling wheel side of this, with Donnelly exiting, means that there's speculation about who comes in to take their place. Enter Utica Rome Speedway operators Bill and Kim Shea, and the potential of the Sheas operating rolling wheels, at least on a special event basis, if not figuring out a way to put a decent schedule underneath that track for 2016. First, with that speculation, please let them get it done. This is the most excited I've been about any New York dirt track in God knows how long, because Bill knows what he's doing. He's turned Utica Rome into a destination racetrack. He can make it happen with rolling wheels if they'll give him a chance to, and I believe that that this will be something that comes together because, Steve, here's that Super Dirt Week tie-in again. There's an option here sitting right in front of our noses that we haven't considered. That's not the Oswego Speedway, because I still cringe every time I hear somebody say that, hey, we can do this if CNYRP doesn't pan out. Take Super Dirt Week to Utica Rome, for crying out loud.
Yes, and I know that, that's something that we discussed off air last night, and now we'll bring Tom Baker in from Race Chaser Online as well.
Howdy.
And Tom, it's great to have you on board tonight, along with
here.
Jacob. And here's the thing. We laid out a couple things when we got wind last night that the Sheas were attempting to get at least managerial control of Rolling Wheels Raceway. There was a couple points that you made last night, and I'll be darned if several of them aren't actually on the table now. One of which you said was a potential NASCAR sanction for Rolling Wheels. Another was, what night could they run a few more races than just the handful of specials they run? You said last night maybe Thursday nights, do a Thursday Night Thunder type of deal. I'll be darned, Tom, if both of those weren't right on the money when more news of that came out today.
Well, and I had no insider information. In fact, I tried to reach out to Bill even before all this started, because I wanted to talk with him about Ferris Industries becoming the title sponsor for the now in turmoil Race of Champions Dirt Series, and I hadn't been able to reach Bill, so I didn't have any insider information. But here's how I look at this. I've known Bill for a long time, and I kind of know what his motives are, what his goals are in terms of he loves the NASCAR sanction. He's very happy with the NASCAR sanction. And he's been wanting to find a way to introduce a second track in the region that would be NASCAR sanctioned, because obviously that helps Utica Rome, and it would help the other speedway as well, because now you've got a companion track that you can run, where you can run 2 nights a week and run NASCAR, as opposed to only the one track kind of sitting out there on an island by itself in the area. And so when it became known that he was chasing Rolling Wheels, immediately the mind goes to, okay, why? It isn't as though Bill needs something else to do. They've got plenty of stuff going on at Utica Rome. He's still with Ferris. Kim is just working tons of hours at Utica Rome, running that speedway. So, the whole thing, Steve, was really just about, well, what would fit the puzzle. And, Thursday night was the only night that they didn't have a ton of competition out of the week, unless you go to like a midweek show, and that would be a risk, to say the least. Thursday would make some sort of sense. And then, the idea being, well, okay, we'll make this a NASCAR deal and run some NASCAR shows. But I also think that he's still intent on being a part of the World Racing Group, World of Outlaws, that whole thing. I think there's something is telling me that I think Bill would like to have Super Dirt Week. Now, I don't know if it's realistic that he could get it, and I don't understand why they are so fixed on Oswego and manufacturing a dirt track temporarily when you've got Utica Rome and, gosh, I think 22 acres sitting there where there's plenty of camping room. The grandstands are nothing but a thing. You can make those anytime you want it if you need more of them. To me, it is a logical place to have it. I said it last year after I toured Utica Rome. This would be a great place to host Super Dirt Week. I'd love to see it at Oswego from the standpoint of what it would bring to the city's economy. And I'm not trying I'm not trying to diss anybody involved with Oswego Speedway, but it just makes no sense to me to make a dirt track when you have one that would be a perfect fit for that place. But with all of that being said, I still think that Donnelly's track will be done in time for Super Dirt Week because I don't think New York State wants the embarrassment of having it not be.
Yeah.
Tom.
Go ahead,
no, I told you it's not going to happen. It's just not.
Well, I don't know what you're basing that on, Jay. I know the area. I know the situation well enough to know how New York State works. I grew up there. I don't buy for a second. You can build a dirt track in about 3 or 4 months if you make up your mind to do that. It's been winter, people. You can't do very much when it snows. I know it's been a mild winter up there, but I'm telling you, Glenn Donnelly is not going to lose Super Dirt Week. It's just not going to happen. And I don't, if it makes no sense to me that if it doesn't happen at that track this year, that track will be done by next year. It's either going to happen or it's not, and if it's ever going to happen, it'll happen in time for this year. He's not going to want the embarrassment of that, and neither is Cuomo, because Cuomo needs the win here. He needs that to happen, and he's got $500,000 invested in it.
He really does, Tom, because with everything that has taken place at the state fairgrounds, the history, the main grandstand coming down, you're absolutely right. Cuomo does need a win.
He needs a win.
He needs a win. Now, real quick, Tom, before we hit a break here, you made a great point about Bill Shea and Kim Shea at Rolling Wheels. These are the kind of people that can come in and keep that positive momentum that Donnelly started with Rolling Wheels going. And this is why, Tom, and I want your reaction to this, because Bill Shea, with Bill, it's not we're only a dirt car track. We're not an ROC track. We're not a Brett Deo track. You can only run VP racing fuel here and not Sunoco or Hoosier versus American Racer. All of that goes out the window, and I love that about what Bill wants to do here.
Yeah, I do too, and actually I'll elaborate on that a little bit if you want me to after the break. I know you guys are up against a break here, so we can do that first.
We'll do that for sure. We've got more coming up on the other side of this break. We're going to talk a lot more Rolling Wheels, and we'll start diving into the Race of Champions publicity mess that has been the last couple of months here. We'll talk more about that next on Turn 5 Live here on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
So when you get to the corner of Smith and Orchard, you're going to want to take a
You
left.
are not going to
then
believe
what you're
this.
going to do is turn
Marcy
into
and
Marcy
Brad just
Avenue
broke up,
and go past
and
the
apparently
first 3
she's
lights,
happy
and
about
then take
it.
the next left.
I don't really
Then
think
drive
she's
5 more
happy,
blocks,
but
and you should be
who am
there.
I to judge, right?
Park
anyway,
on the right. That's
I'll
what
see
I
you
heard
later
last
tonight.
night.
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
Hi, race fans. This is the voice, Shane Andrews of the Big Block Modified Super Dirt Car Series, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Shane Andrews. I'll tell you what, that is a play-by-play guy that every single night he's out working, whether it's a Super Dirt Car Series, Canandaigua Motorsports Park, you name it. That guy is always up on the chip, and we appreciate him being a part of our show here on Turn 5 Live. Steve Ovens, Brad Ovens joining you tonight. We've got Tom Baker from Race Chaser Online on our Skype chat here tonight. And Tom, we were talking Bill Shea, Kim Shea, Rolling Wheels Raceway Park, their involvement, and how their involvement now breaks down a whole bunch of barriers that we're used to seeing with some of the dirt tracks up here in the Northeast of you're either this kind of track or you're that kind of track. And the Shays are trying to break down all those barriers.
Well, Bill is there are two things about Bill Shea that anyone who's known him for longer than an hour absolutely walks away knowing for sure. One is that Bill eats, breathes, and sleeps racing. And two, that he is a really, really smart businessman. And he and Kim have done a tremendous job at Utica Rome. I think a lot of people looked at some of the crowds that he had last year and such and drew some conclusions about, well, geez, I don't know, maybe it's not such a success right now. They knew what they were doing. They had a plan. They knew going into the season what the situation was. And so, Bill, it was resolute at the end of the year about, okay, now I've gotten through the first year. Now I'm going to put my stamp on it. And, Bill is really all about putting on the best show for the fans. So if that means, bringing in an outside sanction or mixing things up a little bit, that's what he'll do. I would think it would be interesting to see what could happen at Rolling Wheels if you have, some big block Super Dirt Car shows there, if you have a few NASCAR sanctioned shows there. I know that, from World Racing Group standpoint, you don't want to play with other tracks who are not sanctioned your series, but really, in all honesty, it's time, in my opinion, for all of the sanctioning bodies up in that area to just decide, you know what, we can be much better if we just do our thing. And if we want to have a show at this track and it's not, this sanction, we want to put on a show there, just do it and don't worry about it. I think Rolling Wheels could be a very interesting place with some mix there, Brad, and and not having to stick to one schedule or another. And I think that's also on a Thursday night, to me, is the perfect night to do things like that because there's nobody else really running.
Yeah, and I can tell you from last year, working at BlackRock with Mike Jackson, we looked at the option if he came back of trying to get a Super Dirt Car Series or get World Racing Group to come to BlackRock to have a some sort of a series, either small block, big block, or whatever we could work on getting. And Tommy Curtis shared with us how they do that. And basically what you do is you pay their sanction fee for that night plus a little extra fee, and you can have a Super Dirt Car Series sanctioned event at a non-sanctioned track. So essentially, I believe what you're doing is you're just paying the sanction fee for your one race that racetrack would normally pay for the year, or something similar to that. So I mean, there's definitely ways out there. World Racing Group isn't just this is my court and I'm not letting anybody else play in it.
And see, to me, that makes sense, Stephen. You charge the track a little bit. What you would pay per week if you were a sanctioned track is X. You charge the track that plus a little bit more if they're not a full season track, and you still bring the show there. I think it'd be fun. And of course, I'm speculating. Like I said, I have not heard any of this from Bill. I'm just drawing conclusions based on what Bill has told me in the past and what I've observed. And I just think this would be the perfect situation for that multi-sanction kind of potpourri sort of schedule.
I agree. And to your point, Tom, and also to Brad's point, I think we saw last year, more so than in this offseason, we saw the different sanctioning series trying to draw lines in the sand, and we saw that get a little bit ugly out in the public eye. And in my humble opinion, I think the backlash you saw from fans about how they felt about that. Plus, we live in a world where when a fan is, has an opinion or is not happy about something, they've got direct access to the world to share that information. So, I think that you're right on, Tom. I think we're going to get to the point now where everybody realizes that together, you don't have to be working hand in hand on every single show you do, but together as a whole, they're much better and much stronger than they all are as individuals, all pulling in different directions. So I love that part of it. And Tom, the other part that plays into this too, as we're talking about sanctions, is the whole Race of Champions thing that we wouldn't really be talking about this other than the fact that this is starting to get played out in the public eye. And we're not necessarily here to take sides on it, but it is news. It is news in the dirt track world up here and the pavement world. With the Race of Champions pavement modified series, what is your take on what we're seeing right now, Tom? Because I know that both sides probably don't want to be playing out in the public eye like this because we're starting to get closer and closer to the beginning of the season, and we don't know what's going on here.
If you don't want to be playing it out in the public eye, why are you? I mean, that's my first question. I look at the information that's been put out. You look at the interview with Andrew Harpel, and you look at the letter that Joe Skotnicki's attorney published on what was it, Dirt Track Digest, I think. You look at those two things, and again, you're absolutely right. I'm not taking sides here. I'm just playing observer, but I'm looking at these two things and saying one of these is not like the other. And in fact, you look at this and one is clearly saying one thing and the other one is clearly saying exactly the opposite thing. And it's like, well, somebody's not telling the truth here. And so if you could look at the two of them and say, well, okay, here's likely what's going on, and it's somewhere in the middle, but I'm looking at these two pieces of writing, and I read them again this morning, both of them, because, this has been on my mind since it all started the last few. I'm a big fan of the Race of Champions, and I hate to see it go away. There's something really, really wrong here. Somebody's not being forthcoming, and I just hope that they get this worked out, because there's a whole lot of racing and racers that are going to be in jeopardy in 2 series, as you said, both asphalt and dirt modified, Steve, if they can't get past this impasse that they seem to be at.
And amongst all of the bickering over the ROC, now the same week of Motorsports Expo in Syracuse coming up this weekend, now a new pavement modified series has popped up that's going to run in New York with the American Modified Pavement Series, which is back. And here's where it gets interesting, Tom. The AMPS series, which makes me think of, the 88 car, but I digress. It's so interesting to me because the AMPS series is backed by American Racer. It's been quite public that Hoosier has been a big supporter of Scott Nicky obtaining the Race of Champions. So now we don't even know if the Race of Champions is going to be able to run any part of their series, dirt or asphalt. Now the AMP series pops up, and all the modified guys in New York are saying, well, boy, what do we do now?
Yeah, and it's so close to the start of the season, too. I mean, if all this were happening in November or December, that would be one thing, but, it's almost mid-March here. I mean, tracks are going to start opening up. It's an early spring up there, it looks like, which I'm happy for you guys, by the way. So I don't really know what to make of all of this. I just hope that it can get settled out soon. Starting a new series, a month or two before the season starts and trying to get shows scheduled and all that, that is a hefty undertaking, and I wish Chris Zacharias all the luck in the world with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Chris comes with some experience promoting at Shangri-La too. And I know that he was a close confidant of the ROC series with Andrew Harpel as well. So and I got to tell you, Tom, all of these stories, they're all converging on the New York State Fairgrounds this weekend.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I really wish I could be up there for that show. I hope that they've got a really good fire squad on standby, because I think the Center of Progress building might just explode before Sunday.
And this is really when everybody gets a chance to really get their engines revved up about the season, because Parts Peddler in November, you're just closing things up, starting your rebuild for the season, but Motorsports Expo is a whole nother thing, because racing is either a month away or less than a month away in some cases from that show, and that's what makes this show in Syracuse so great.
No doubt.
Now, Brad, I want to go back to another comment you had on the things with rolling wheels, so take it away, man.
I was just sitting here pondering all the possibilities, and it came to we've been talking about track surfaces. Glenn Donnelly and his crew put new clay down on that track last year for their preparations, but they also put down Cindy. Now, can Bill Shea and Kim go in there with that Cindy on that surface and work it like a regular surface, or are they going to have issues with that?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know that any one of us are experts in track preparation, especially with that. But my gut feeling would be that Bill and Kim are not going to go in there not knowing. So,
I think at the few special shows that we saw last year, we could ask Kevin Ridley. I'm pretty sure we saw most of the Cindy dust away into the parking lot, but.
I don't know. Obviously I wasn't up there, but I would say that if the intent was to use that Bill would certainly have some conversation with Glenn and his group about how to massage it and work it, because again, Bill's not going to go into something without doing his due diligence, and that's, I think, if there's anything that I would want to get out there about this whole situation. We know that, I guess they're attempting. I think it's been pretty well documented that in fact there's truth to the fact that Bill and Kim are trying to take over the management and operation. They're not going to do that without knowing exactly what they're doing with regard to that facility, and without having a vision for that facility that will keep it growing and developing the way it started to do under Glenn last year. I have the utmost confidence that if the two of them get a hold of it, that Rolling Wheels will still be a very special place. And, there will be a lot of stuff going on, and they will have, whether it's their crew from Utica Rome or they'll bring in some other folks, but they'll have the right people to do the job. So it'll be fun. There's just, guys, you got your hands full up there with the expo coming up. I can't wait to see the blow out the budget coverage you give us on Race Chaser Online and here on Performance Network.
Absolutely, Tom. Appreciate the time tonight.
Sure.
We certainly
Thanks,
got our
man.
hands full up here, that's for sure.
Yeah, good luck with all that. Keep us posted.
All right, Tom Baker from Race Chaser Online joining us tonight on the Skype chat line. We've got Doug Elkins on the way. He's going to talk to us about all these things happening here in the Northeast, and we'll dig into what we saw at Volusia as well, as we're not too long away from seeing the Super Dirt Car Series fire back up for 2016. We'll talk to Doug about that and a lot more next on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice for motorsports.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ball in street? Girl in street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, race fans. This is Brett Deo, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Welcome back, race fans, to Turn 5 Live here in the Performance Motorsports Network. Stephen and Brad Ovens joining me on the program tonight. We've got breaking news on the docket, breaking news coming out of Outlaw Speedway at this hour. Creekside Entertainment, Winners Circle Deli sign on as division sponsors at Outlaw Speedway. Creekside Entertainment jumping on board for the street stock division in 2016. Winners Circle Deli jumping on board with the Outlaw Bandit division as sponsors. So breaking news here at this hour, new division sponsors for Outlaw Speedway. So congratulations to those guys. We're going back to the hotline here. Doug Elkins from Doug's Dirt Diary and the Syracuse Post-Standard joining us tonight on Turn 5. Doug, boy, where do we begin? There has been a lot of news and notes this week.
There is a lot going on. It's a great time of the year to be a race fan, and with Motorsports Expo coming up this weekend, we're going to find a lot more out about what's going on. There's a lot of people sitting on news right now, so it's a great time to be a fan, isn't it?
Oh, it sure is. And we were just having this discussion about the fact that, this is the Parts Peddler is a great show, but I'll tell you, the Motorsports Expo has, because it's so close to the start of the season, it has that lure to it because there's news that's still coming out. Here in the last week, we've had a lot of news coming out. It's almost unfathomable to think that there's even more coming.
That's true, but there is. I mean, there's a lot of drivers who have been sitting on some surprises. I've had a couple conversations with some folks on Facebook say, "Hey, Doug, we got a surprise for you this weekend at the show." So, this is the artificial deadline. A lot of guys use this as a deadline to make sure their equipment's done so they can, be a little bit ahead of the game. And a lot of the racetracks, like I said, they're sitting on news. They're sitting on their schedules. They're going to the printer this week. So, after this weekend, we're going to have a lot better idea of what's going on in the area. And as you're walking the aisles too, you can catch the drivers, and they'll tell you where they're running, or maybe not. So it's an exciting time, and we're going to know a lot more about the season, like I said, after we get done in Syracuse this weekend.
We're going to see some new faces and new places, and maybe some familiar faces in some unfamiliar places for 2016. We've got new promoters, and we've got new promoters trying to be new promoters. That we're talking Rolling Wheels specifically here. With Glenn putting all of his efforts towards Central New York Raceway Park, in preparation for Super Dirt Week 2016, I thought it was interesting that Brian Carter was very public about the fact that they really need to see some progress in the next couple of months for them to stick with the plan for CNYRP. What's your thoughts on how things are starting to shake out here?
Well, I like to read between the lines on a lot of these things, and I've known Glenn Donnelly for 20 years, and I think the fact that he is leaving what was a very successful management situation at Rolling Wheels. I mean, look what they did to the place last year. They got it back on the national map real fast. The fact that he's leaving to focus on CNYRP tells me that they're in great shape. I've got some friends of mine that are part owners and investors in this, and what they're telling me is that warm weather that we've had, especially December and really over the past few months, has allowed them to get a little bit further ahead than where they actually thought they were going to be at this time. I'm going to be heading over there in the next week myself to chat with them and find out, but everything I'm hearing is good. I mean, will we get the whole thing on September 9th, which is their opening day, and maybe Super Dirt Week a month later? Probably not, but I'm pretty sure that they'll have it ready, and if I had to bet my last dollar, I'm thinking that I would. And again, I think that's why they made this move, is because they are getting closer, and I think Glenn Donnelly knows, okay, now we have to focus on this and get ready, and I think they're going to be just fine. I like I said, my last dollar, I'd bet it that they're going to be ready.
Now, the interesting part here too, Doug, is you look at the Shays that are putting some effort toward trying to bring on Rolling Wheels as a track that they manage, and when you have a guy like Glenn who did so much for Rolling Wheels in a very short amount of time, when you have that promoter essentially pull out of the facility, that had a potential to be a real negative thing, because we didn't, until last night, we were really thinking, boy, what is going to happen here? We're right back at square one like we were almost a year ago to the day.
Yeah, it's amazing how, last year about this time we were talking about Mike Emhoff and Rich Vleck bowing out of their positions at Rolling Wheels. And, of course, nothing is set yet with Will and Kim Shea. We don't know for sure if they're doing this yet or not. And Bill's a busy guy. I mean, he's got a high management position at Ferris Lawnmowers in addition to what's going on at Utica Rome. But certainly, comes in with some experience. And the thing is, though, that, you're playing against the clock here too, so it would be nice if we had some news this weekend. But as we learned last year, we didn't get the news this weekend last year. It came a little later, and it still ended up working out. So as much as you'd like to have everything in place by the time you get there this weekend, if you're rolling wheels, I still think you're okay because it is a premier facility. It's a specials-only format. If it was a weekly track, it would be a different deal. They'd be in deep doo-doo. But with it being a specials-only track, I still think they can come to the party late with some dates. The thing that's going to be tough, though, is finding dates. You work at a couple of speedways, and trying to find dates and where you can run certain shows is tough. And the later you go, the more those dates get filled out. But optimism, hopefully everything will work out at Rolling Wheels and we'll be back there again this year. But it is kind of interesting, like you said, that here we are almost 1 year to the day, right back in the same situation.
And, one of the shows that really caught my eye with what was on the Rolling Wheels schedule, and hopefully all things pan out that can still happen, was we were going to have, the Short Track Super Series paired up with the Race of Champions Dirt Modifieds. And, we talked with our guys from Race Chaser Online in the last couple of segments, and I love that idea because it breaks down so many barriers, whether it's tire manufacturer, fuel provider, sanctioning body. It really breaks down all those barriers, and I love that. I think that's what we need this day and age with our dirt track racing and the sanctions and all those players that go along with it.
I agree 100%. I mean, Super Dirt Car Series at Utica Rome, a non-dirt sanctioned track, that's a great thing. Super Dirt Car Series at 5 Mile Point, a non-dirt track, another good thing. And when you look at the RLC schedule for this year, you see a lot of the tracks that traditionally would have Super Dirt Car Series races. It's not focused as much on Pennsylvania and the Southern Tier as it was before. So I think some of the barriers are coming down, and to see Brett Dale bringing his Short Track Series race to a place like Rolling Wheels, that's something that would have been unheard of, maybe even last year. So I think that's good for the racers. I don't think that people follow a series as religiously maybe as they did before. I mean, look at the sprint cars, for example. You've got guys that don't necessarily follow the Patriots or ESS. They run geographically closer to the house. They jump, between the series. I think that's a good thing for the sport. I see a lot of these smaller series popping up, like the Stars Series is back in the Southern Tier this year. It's tough for guys to follow the series. Look at the Super Dirt Series race for Sportsman last year. Not a lot of guys ran all the races. You can get to a point with any series where it becomes too big, and the drivers just can't follow it. I think what we're doing now with some tracks running series that they wouldn't before, little mini series popping up. You got the speed weeks with the sprinters. I think it's an exciting time, and it's nice to see some of these long-time barriers getting taken down.
Absolutely. Something else that you kind of triggered my mind with there with those comments is talking about, the sprint car drivers and some of the schedules that they keep. I think we've seen that more and more in the past couple of seasons of guys that, typically you could kind of count on them as one series or the other that really kind of bounce around. And I think that like you were talking, I think that really ups the competition level for everybody involved, not just one series in particular. And the beauty of it is there's plenty of races in this area that they can still get a good season in by bouncing around.
It's true. I have a conversation with the guys a lot. A lot of us have kids and family obligations and baseball games and things like that. It's not like it used to be. Do you remember that show Madhouse a few years ago that was on TV? You remember that, right, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the one guy had never been to his daughter's dance recital because it was at the same time that Hot Laps took place. I think, unlike 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I think people are realizing that there are more important things, so a driver who would have followed a series and missed that dance recital or not gone to a wedding of one of his friends, I think people are too busy nowadays. It's tough to do that, and the commitment required to do it is very high. So I think that it's a good thing the drivers stay closer to home. You kind of know what you're going to get when you go to a sprint car race here in Central New York. You know who you're going to see. And I think it's more of a societal thing at this point more than anything else, but good for the fans. Yeah, it's an interesting situation because I see it happening in all the divisions, don't you?
I do, and I think we saw some of that last season too. In particular here in our area, our neck of the woods. Billy Van Pelt was a point leader out at Woodhall Raceway. They had a family wedding they needed to attend late in the season. Fortunately, everything worked out in that, they were still able to bring down the championship. But that's the kind of thing that it's not just, guys that are, say running mid-pack or towards, the back of the field. These things affect the guys that we see up in the top 5 and in the win column every week. And it's just that's kind of how we're transitioning, in this day of age in motorsports. So I agree with you on that. Doug, we got to step aside here, but I want to keep you on for another segment here because we want to talk about all the things that we saw down at Volusia and as we get ready to enter the 2016 Super Dirt Car Series season. So we got a little more we'd like to chat with you.
Sure thing.
All right, we'll have more with Doug Elkins next here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading materials supplier to the racing industry. Now they're also an official motorsports content partner of Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for all their raw materials, such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much, much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is your #1 source for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the road to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. You can also find them on Facebook at Stock Car Steel and Aluminum or call either company toll-free at 1-888-752-7272.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, race fans. This is Mills Family Racing, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Amber Mills bringing us back from commercial break here on Turn 5 Live on PMN. Stephen and Brad Ovens, Doug Elkins joining us on the hotline here. And Doug, let's talk a little Super Dirt Car Series. They kicked things off here recently in Volusia, 4 big nights of racing down there. We haven't talked to you since Volusia, and I'm curious, some of the main points that you took away from the 4 nights in Volusia that our Northeast Modifieds took in down there.
Well, I think the first thing that a lot of people wondered about was how was Matt Shepard going to be with his own team? Would there be any fall off there? I think the answer is a pretty strong no. I think he'll be just fine. Wins a race. He was in the top 5 every night down there. So anybody who was wondering about Matt Shepard and his new team, I don't think he'll be skipping a beat down there. The other thing that I took away, I thought it was nice that we had a winner from the North Country, winner from Central New York, winner from New Jersey, and winner from Pennsylvania. So, with Rick Laubach and Brett Hearn getting wins down there. So I think that shows the diversity of the drivers that were heading down. And also the guy that I thought was probably smiling a lot on the way back, and he doesn't smile a lot, we know that, Tim Fuller, with getting a win. He only had one bad night, the 24th. He was 1st, 7th, 24th, and 4th. He talked a lot last year about getting back into the modifieds after running late models for so many years. He talked about how much had changed, how much catching up he had to do. So for him to go down there, pick up a win on the very first night, and be strong 3 out of the 4 nights, I say look out. Tim Fuller's back this year.
Oh, absolutely. And this is in no way a slight towards Tim Fuller, but I think if you had polled race fans and said, who do you think is going to get the opening night win? I don't know that the number 19 would have been toward the top of the list.
I agree. I mean, guys like Larry White and Matt Shepard and Stuart Freeze and Brett Hearn, these are the guys, that we think about when we think of racing down in Florida. So for him to come out of the box as strong as he did, and I saw some of his quotes afterwards. He got to race his good buddy Billy Dunn there at the front of the pack as well. So I think that bodes very well for Tim. I know that they had some motor issues last year, and for a while there he was running a motor that was very down on power. I talked to him a couple nights. He was very frustrated with what was going on, because you guys know Tim, he wants to win. This is what he does for a living, and he's won a lot of races. He's been on the Outlaws and won races there. So when you look at somebody who has the background and the dedication, I think it was just a little bit of a learning curve, and now it seems like he's done his homework and he's ready to go, and I'm sure Dave Rauscher's given him everything he needs. He's got another small block ride. He's going to be running up at Mohawk on Friday nights, a potent ride up there. So I look for good things happening this year for Tim Fuller, and he'll be at Canandaigua. Matt Shepard's had pretty much the rule of the roost there the past few years. So you have to wonder if Tim is going to give him a run for his money this year at the Land of Legends.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a really fun field to watch there at Canandaigua for sure. We talk about Brett Hearn getting a win down there, and I'll admit, when I grew up, I was not necessarily a Hearn fan, but no. I'll tell you what, now as a media guy, he's a great guy to talk to. I love a post-race interview with Brett to really try and learn a little bit about what these guys are going through out there. But Doug, how much fun was it watching Brett Hearn do what Brett does and snooker everybody on a tire choice to pick up a win?
Yeah, that's got to feel great for him, especially, he had 2 good runs out of the 3 coming into that final night, and to beat Stewie Friesen. I mean, let's be honest, anytime you beat Stewie at a race, and for him to go down there and not win, I think that was a little bit of a surprise right there. So Brett's got to feel real good. He's taken a different approach the past couple of seasons. I remember I stopped seeing him traveling quite as much, and he told me, he said, Doug, this hauler's got to pay for itself every time it leaves the shop. So if we feel that it's a track where we might not necessarily do as well, and maybe the purse isn't there, we're not going to go. So Brett has trimmed his operation, kind of a less is more kind of thing, and from a financial standpoint, I think it's worked out very well for him, and I think some of the other teams are now doing that as well, because you can race too much too early and be out of stuff in August and September when all the big money shows coming around. But one thing that I think is going to bode well for the series this year, you have to run a series race to be able to run at the end of the year. And I think Eldora is going to be the one this year. There are so many people saying they're going to Eldora. They want to watch the truck race the next night. I know J.R. Hefner is going to try to qualify for that in his truck. I think you're going to see some people running some races before that wouldn't normally, to get a feel for the Hoosier tires, so they can go out to Eldora, to Tony Stewart's place, and have a lot of fun. We would have 50, 60 cars out there at Eldora when that rolls around.
Oh, yeah, that's one that a lot of people have circled. I've been to Eldora for the truck race the first time they ran that a couple years ago, and I'll tell you what, I'm one of them, Doug. I've got that date circled. I'd really like to take that in, and for less than half a day in the car to get there, that could really be worth the drive to see our Northeast modifieds take on Eldora for the first time in many years.
Yeah, I think it was mid-2000s. I think was the last time that they went out there, and that was the old Eldora when everybody ran up on the wall. The track's a little bit different. You've watched that truck race past couple of years, and boy, they've got 3, 4, 5 grooves on that track nowadays.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of people there that were going to sit there in the pits that night, I think, and go, wow, I didn't know he was coming out here. Wow, he made it here. So it has the potential to be huge, and I think from a national standpoint, to get our cars in front of people who don't normally see them, that is exactly the type of publicity that we need. Because you and I feel the same about this stuff, Steve. I know we do. I think the Dirt Modified is one of the raciest cars around. Look when they go down to the World Finals at the end of the year. What's the best race a lot of times? It's the Modified race. I love these cars, and I think if we got more people to see them, we could get more people interested and hopefully take this thing up a notch. Because big picture-wise, we're kind of spinning our tires, I think, big picture-wise on growing this product. And I know Dirt Car, by getting out there, is trying to do that. And hopefully when people see these cars, see them up close, meet some of our guys, see some of the stories, hopefully they'll become fans like you and I are.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Eldora, to have a guy like Tony Stewart, when after he announced his retirement from NASCAR after this season, for him to come out and say, man, he wished he had retired sooner so he could have raced a Northeast Modified at Syracuse. And now to have the Super Dirt Car Series come to his track at one of their major events, I mean, that's the kind of publicity that we need for our sport. And I'm glad to see them get that. Doug, a couple other points I want to hit here before our time with you here on the show ends tonight. A couple of points, one Outlaw Speedway point and one Woodhull point. First, I'll start with the Outlaw. I know that you've had a couple conversations now to talk to Tyler Seary and his new ownership effort at Outlaw Speedway. As kind of a neutral party at the round table here tonight, what's some of the things that you've gathered from your guys' conversations so far?
Well, Tyler last time I talked to him, he was a little more tight-lipped than the first time because I asked him about a couple of guys who were going there, and he said, we're going to have a great field. And so already he's learning how to be a track owner and promoter. Because sometimes you say stuff and sometimes you don't. But I think the fact that they're offering the purse that they're offering, that's the best weekly purse in Central New York. I haven't heard from some of the big names yet, and maybe we'll find out this weekend. But everything he's saying is right at this point and what he's doing. If he can get a few big names out there, and you and I have, we know the names, we're just not really saying at this point, but I think that 2,000 win purse and the Take the Green money is really good. They could be looking at a good thing. The thing I worry about a little bit behind the scenes is that you're adding about $7,000-8,000 to your nightly operating costs by running the modifieds. I hope they get enough extra bang in the pits, extra people in the pits, and extra butts in the stands because, if you run at a deficit for a few weeks, it makes it tough. So I hope the fans in that area are going to support that and come on out because he could be sitting on a really good thing here right now with that purse, could have some big names in the field. The track's very racy as it is. The track has always been racy, and if everything works out, boy, Outlaw Speedway could have a great season.
Talking with Doug Elkins here about some of the topics here in the Northeast. We were just talking a little bit of Outlaw Speedway there for a second. And one other point I wanted to hit with you, Doug, tonight. I know you recently got to do an interview with Adam Del Grosso, two-time champion at Woodhull Raceway. A few comments about you guys getting together for an interview here recently.
Boy, he makes it easy to do an interview, doesn't he? I know you've interviewed him before. I want half his energy. If I had half his energy, I'd get a lot more done than I'm getting done right now. And this, I think, when you meet a guy like him, and he talks about how he gets his cars together and gets out to the racetrack. These are the stories that I really enjoy because here's a guy who's not running a $100,000 budget to run a modified. He's out there having a 4-cylinder, looking for the right car that can get him up front. He's promoting the division. I mean, I can imagine what this guy must be like in victory lane when he wins. And it's a great story. I love that kind of situation. I did 4-cylinders a few years ago myself, so I love hearing about the cars and what they're doing. And that's grassroots. That's the stuff I think that unfortunately sometimes we kind of overlook at times because we think, oh, we got to talk to Matt Shepard and we got to talk to Danny Johnson and we got to do this. But these 4-cylinder divisions, these street stocks, these factory stocks, a lot of the novice and sportsman divisions that are coming around, a lot of times they're the best racing that you're going to see at the racetrack all night. So getting a chance to talk to Adam, I mean, how can you not root for that guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Doug, I brought that up because when I listened to that interview that you did with Adam, it just reminded me so much about why we're involved with the media side of motorsports. And I go back to when you started your site, and I love the concept of telling these stories. And honestly, over the course of the last couple of years, that's kind of what drives us to do this show and to go out and cover races and things like that. This is what makes our sport so great. And I just wanted to kind of shed some light on that with what you guys are doing at Doug's Dirt Diary. I think it is just phenomenal.
Well, when I was announcing all those years, I learned quickly that if you have 100 cars in the pits, you got 100 stories on how they got there. And you've announced there's never enough time to get all those stories out. Next thing you know, they're going green. So there's so much that you leave on the table. So it's nice that you're able to do what you're able to do and get the stories out that way, and I'm able to do what I do because there's just, like I said, there's just so many good stories out there, and there's just not a lot of time to get them out. So it's nice that we have guys like you and I who are doing that, and not just doing it with the big-name drivers, but doing it across the board, every division. You got a race car, I want to talk to you. It's just that simple.
Absolutely. DougsDirtDiary.com is where you can find everything that Doug is doing audio interview-wise. And, of course, be on the watch for all the things that Doug does for the Syracuse Post-Standard as well. Doug, appreciate the time tonight. Always great to have you aboard.
Thank you for having me. I love doing the show, man. I love what you're doing. Keep it up, man. You're doing a heck of a job.
All right. That's Doug Elkins from DougsDirtDiary.com as well as the Post-Standard out there in Syracuse. You'll see him, I'm sure, quite a bit out at Motorsports Expo. It'll be a good weekend to log some interviews for sure, no doubt about that. We're going to step aside here when we come back. We're going to talk more. We're going to go over the World of Outlaw results from the past weekend. Brad's got those wrapped up for us. And we've also got some news. We're going to talk a little bit about the mall show for Woodhall Raceway coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend here in Horseheads. We'll step aside when we come back. We'll get into all of that here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up. See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time.
What? No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
If you're a gearhead and you just can't get enough of your favorite motorsports on that channel on the cable, or you look at that Guy network and you just go, what does that have to do with me? We have the answer. Performance Motorsports Network. Right here on the internet. The best cruising tunes, the best in motorsports programming, and the best shows. We have opinionated hosts, and we like it that way. If you want to get involved, if you want to bench race, be listening for information coming up soon right here on this channel, the Performance Motorsports Network, your source for motorsports.
Hi, race fans. This is Mel Thomas from Thomas Video, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Oh, my good buddy, Mel Thomas, co-announcer with me at Outlaw Speedway on Friday nights, bringing us back from break. And Mel will be out at the Motorsports Expo this weekend up there in Syracuse. They're going to have their great display that they always have. They have all of the weekly racing videos. They've got the 2000, I don't know if you call it 15 or 60. I guess you would call it 2015 edition of the Crash and Smash tape. And I'll tell you what, I got a copy just after it came out, and I'll tell you, race fans, I'm going to give Mel and Matt a little love here because that's a must-have. That is over 2 hours of the hits, the spills. Of course, all the drivers and all those things are all A-OK. Nobody, they don't put any footage in there of drivers that get hurt in any type of accident. But I'll tell you what, if you're a race fan, if you're a dirt fan, it's a must-have. You gotta have it. I know I'm making Brad real jealous right now because I don't think Brad's seen it yet. So
No, I have not. And I know I was talking to Mel at the Black Rock banquet, and he said the only copy he had left was the one playing in the DVD player.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'll tell you, it was a must see without a doubt. So those guys will be out at the Expo show this weekend. Brad, we had a lot of discussion tonight. I knew it was going to be a busy show because there's just so much going on right now. Something else I wanted to mention, of course, you've got the Motorsports Expo this weekend. You've got the Arnott Mall Car Show coming up the following weekend here in Horseheads, where I broadcast from each and every Tuesday night. That is coming up the 19th and 20th of March. Move-in night is Friday, March 18th. Woodhull guys, if you're listening tonight, you want to put your car in the show. I imagine you probably already know that you want to put your car in the show because we're getting down to the last minute here. But if you want to get your car in the show, go over to woodhullraceway.com. We've got a registration form right online there that you can fill out to enter your car. It's free to enter. Turn 5 Live will be there Saturday, March 19th. We're going to record our March 22nd episode there at the mall, leading up to the 3-man pit stop competition. The return of the pit stop competition at center court there in the mall. We're going to record from approximately 3 to 6 p.m. with the pit stop competition taking the green flag at 6:30 there at center court in the mall. Brad, looking forward to that. The mall show is really gets race fans excited because let's be honest, we're a couple days away from being 1 month away from the season lid lifter at Woodhull. It's an exciting time.
Fresh race cars. Go down in the mall, check out all the fresh race cars because I guarantee you 3 weeks into the season, not one of them's going to look the same.
You got it right. Brad, let's go over to some World of Outlaw results. I know you've got all the results listed for us, so take it away.
All right, we're going to throw it out. March 3rd, Las Vegas, Nevada at the dirt track at Las Vegas. Coming away with a $10,000 A-Main win. Joey Saldana, we talked about him earlier, having a superb run with Roth Racing out there at Las Vegas. Coming home second was Darren Pittman. Third goes to Brad Sweet. Fourth was Shane Stewart. Jason Johnson, who had another good couple strong weeks out there out west, comes home fifth on that night. 6 through 10 were Jason Sides, Donnie Schatz, Kerry Madsen, Rico Abreu, and Sammy tongue twister. Slamming Sammy Swindell brings it home 10th. Qualifying fast timer was Jason Johnson. Heat wins went to Brad Sweet, Brian Brown, Joey Saldana, and Dusty Zomer. March 4th from the dirt track at Las Vegas, Nevada. Donnie Schatz picking up the win, $10,000. Picking up a win on the Craftsman Series. Second was Joey Saldana. Brad Sweet came home third. Brian Brown came home fourth. Shane Stewart came home fifth. Rico Abreu came home sixth. Seventh was Darren Pittman. Eighth, Ian Madsen. Ninth, Brian Clausen. And 10th, Jason Johnson. Coming away with the fast timer of the night, Joey Saldana. Heat wins went to Joey Saldana, Donnie Schatz, Brian Brown, Brad Sweet, and Brad Sweet won the dash as well. And then we move to Sunday, March 6th at the Arizona Speedway in Queen Creek, Arizona. Coming away with a $10,000 win, Shane Stewart, followed by David Gravel in second. Danny Lasowski was third. Fourth goes to Donnie Schatz. Brad Sweet was fifth. 6 through 10, Joey Saldana, Jason Johnson, Kerry Madsen, Logan Schuhart coming away with ninth, and Brian Brown rounding out the top 10. Brian Brown was your fast timer for the night. Heat wins went to Brad Sweet, Joey Saldana, Danny Lasowski, and David Gravel. And that is your World of Outlaws recap.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
And I just a quick mention. I want to mention a feat that kind of blew me away. On the third at the dirt track at Las Vegas, Brian Brown won the dash, and he started in seventh. Started the dash in seventh, in 4 laps, past 6 cars to win the dash. That is incredible.
That's getting after it right there.
That is on it.
Absolutely, man. That's great. That's good stuff there. Appreciate the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Craftsman Sprint Car update there that Brad provided to us. Some other news and notes this week. We've had quite a bit to talk about. Let's go over to Woodhall Raceway. They had more information come out here over the last couple of days, and I know that Ted and Brandy, everybody over at Woodhall, real excited about the fact that they've not only revealed their schedule for 2016, that is now posted on WoodhallRaceway.com. They also have the division sponsors, all of their division sponsors returning for 2016. I know that that is something that they're very, very pleased with, and rightfully so. The 370 Modifieds will once again be sponsored by Insinger Performance down there in Dewshore, Pennsylvania. The Crate Sportsman will be once again sponsored by the good folks from Napa Auto Parts. The 360 Late Model Division will be sponsored by S&W Awards. The Street Stock Division once again being sponsored by Joe Wilcox Performance Automatics. They're back on board for 2016. Doherty Auto Sales coming on board for the Mini Stock Division. They're back for 2016. They will also sponsor the Woodhall Warrior Division, so be the Doherty Auto Sales Warrior Division for the youth class there at Woodhall. And then Woodhall Auto Supply jumps back on board for the Front Wheel Drive Division in 2016. So all those sponsors back for 2016 at Woodhall. That is absolutely fantastic. Great job to all of those guys over at Woodhall for putting that back together for this coming season. Brad, we got to step aside. We still got a few more news and notes items. We got some announcements out of Weedsport Speedway with their Sportsman Series. We'll talk about those guys next, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up here on Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading materials supplier to the racing industry. Now they're also an official motorsports content partner of Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for all their raw materials, such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much, much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is your #1 source for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the road to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. You can also find them on Facebook at Stock Car Steel and Aluminum, or call either company toll-free at 1-888-752-7272.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ, photo booth, and uplighting company of Turn 5 Live and the Performance Motorsports Network. Stuart Ovens and his staff at Creekside Entertainment are professional and experienced with events of any type. Creekside Entertainment specializes in wedding packages that are affordable and fun, and they are ready to serve you with the most up-to-date music and karaoke selection. If you can sing it in the shower, you can come out and sing it with Creekside Entertainment. And don't forget about the Creekside Entertainment photo booth and uplighting service that will transform your wedding or party into an event the family will be talking about for years. Trust the entertainment company that racers trust. Call Stu at area code 315-481-9700 or visit them online at creeksideentertainmentdj.com. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Creekside Entertainment, division sponsor of the Black Rock Bandits in 2015.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, race fans. This is Matt Shepard, and you're listening to Turn 5 Live on PMN.
Super Matt bringing us back from commercial break here on Turn 5 Live on PMN, taking the white flag, final trip around the 3rd mile bull ring, the half mile at CMP, or hell, the fast 4/10 mile at Outlaw Speedway. We're on our last trip around the dirt oval here. And Brad, I'll tell you what, talk about jam-packed with information tonight. Not so much driver interview-wise, but boy, everybody ramping up for Motorsports Expo this weekend. So many things have come out, and it's so interesting to me, to talk to a guy like Doug Elkins that's really plugged in to the Central New York scene, and for him to say, hey, guys, there's still more coming. That's really exciting to me.
Oh, yeah, and I think Doug has mastered the one thing that you need to do in our sport as far as media-wise goes to be one of those top guys, and that's just talk to everybody. If you're willing to stop and talk to everybody and have a conversation, you can learn more than you ever think you would by just asking somebody a question. Even if you don't think they'll give you the answer, a lot of times they surprise you and even give you a little more.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because that was kind of exactly something that happened to me over the course of the last couple of days. We put out an announcement today from Corey Costa and Herbie Wright that Corey Costa will be driving the Herbie Wright Batmobile in 2016, chasing the title at Outlaw Speedway. And that news just coming out today. I know that Corey and Herbie both really looking forward to working together. And Brad, for a guy like Corey Costa, I wrote it in the article. You can find it on racechaseronline.com or go to Race Chaser Online on Facebook. We had it posted just today. But Brad, for a guy like Corey Costa, you're in the infield watching these guys every week. Running with the safety crew and running the four-wheeler all around the property. And Corey Costa is one of those great young talents that the kid's got a lot of talent. If they could have bad luck last year, it seemed like they found it in their rookie year in the modified division. But for him to come out and still be able to run his own piece on the Short Track Super Series and pick up a ride with Herbie Wright at Outlaw, boy, things couldn't be looking better for him for this year.
Oh, absolutely. 2015, if you were at the Black Rock Speedway, the now Outlaw Speedway, if you were at Black Rock and you needed to go purchase yourself some bad luck, you had to stop the Costa trailer at the authorized dealer. Those guys couldn't get away from it. Just heartbreak after heartbreak. And a lot of it was just getting caught up in accidents that, weren't of their own doing. That's just the hassle and the danger of starting deep in a modified pack like we had at Outlaw last year at the old Black Rock. And, it's just one of those things that those guys just got caught up in more stuff than they started.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think the great part about that was even though they struggled so much last year, they still came out to the track every week. They still put Corey in a quality ride. They ended up picking up a victory. And when you can have the struggles that they did and still come away and get a victory, you're going to turn heads of car owners like Herbie Wright that, and Herbie makes no bones about it. They're not a top stacker trailer type team. They're a team that comes out there, puts a quality piece on the track. Stacey Jackson took it to victory last season. I mean, that shows that the potential is there for that team. But now you put a young cat like Corey Costa. I mean, look at the ride Billy Van Pelt gave it back at, I believe it was the Turkey Bowl, or might have been the Dutch Oak National Open. I think it was the Dutch Oak National Open. You look at the ride Billy Van Pelt gave it, Stacey Jackson last year. Donnie Lawson's been in that car during the course of his career. Kenny Peoples Jr.
Johnson was in it.
Yeah, Alan Johnson just last year. Kenny Peoples Jr. talked to us at the Woodhall banquet about he's had time behind the wheel of the 88 as well. I think this is great for Corey Costa. And Brad, let's talk about the fact too. I'll throw this at you here. Now they can save their primary car for the Short Track Super Series, and on Saturday nights they can travel around a little bit and get some laps at places they're going to need to be good at to qualify for the Short Track Super Series when they come to town.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt that following the full short track Super Series that they're going to go a lot of places that they may not have been with a small block before. He may have raced there with a Sportsman, but obviously he learned last year that the small block's a whole another game. You're right. He's running Outlaw in the Herbie Wright car. I mean, that takes a whole world of pressure off those guys. If they get in an accident on Friday, they don't have to go back and fix the car. They don't have to say, well, we got to throw our plans away, and they especially don't have to worry about the Short Track Super Series if they get into an accident on Friday night, ruining their chances of even being able to race on Saturday. So I think that'll be good for him, and I think it's going to be good for Corey as an overall driver to be able to get that experience to go out. And I mean, it's just turning more laps. It's more seat time in the small block. I think of like when Brady Fultz jumped up to the 370s. We talked to him about going the few races he went and ran the small block at a couple other. I think Little Valley was one of them. He went and ran it, and just getting out and running it is some different tracks to get you that seat time. It's invaluable.
It absolutely is, and I'm really happy for those guys that they can do that. Just in talking to Corey and even talking to Herbie, both of those guys are really jacked up about being able to work with each other this season.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck to those guys for sure. Other news this week, Brad, Wheatsport Speedway, Napa Auto Parts signs on for the Sportsman Shootout Series. I believe that's a 9-race series there at Wheatsport. So good for those guys to get Napa Auto Parts to jump on board for that. That's going to be a really great thing for them. Looking over the information that they've got put out here, this is a big deal for them. That kind of support for the sportsman division, they say here, is vital to the future of dirt modified racing in the Northeast, and I couldn't agree with them more on that point for sure. The Napa Sportsman Shootout Series schedule information, as well as the 2016 Weedsport Speedway schedule, will be available for race fans at Motorsports Expo this Saturday and Sunday, March 12th and 13th, at the New York State Fairgrounds Center of Progress building. Be sure to check them out, as well as weedsportspeedway.com. Brad, looking ahead, next week's show, we've got Eddie McKernan from the Hill Speedway. If you're listening tonight, folks, and you're like, the Hill, or the Hill Speedway, that doesn't ring a bell. Maybe Dunhill Speedway or Dunhill 2 would ring a bell for you. That speedway has been purchased, will be run by a crew headed up and promoted by Eddie McKernan. I talked to him here just a couple of days ago. He will join us on the program next Tuesday. Going to be looking at that for about a 7:45 or 8 o'clock interview. Going to talk to us about all the good things they've got going on at the Hill Speedway. And this, Brad, is something that I'm looking forward to with my new contribution to the Morning Times in Sarah, Pennsylvania. That particular area, we're going to be talking a lot about the Hill Speedway. I'll tell you, the closest track to the Morning Times there in Sarah is Chemung. So we're, Brad, you and I are going to be tag teaming the first event at Chemung, a 75-lap modified tour event, as well as the New York Superstocks 30 laps there. The Bandoleros and the iNext Legends will be on tap as well. So that'll be kind of fun to get back out to Chemung. It's been a couple of seasons for me, and that's actually a track we're going to go to, Brad, that you've turned laps on.
Yeah, I did. I got to go down once with Jared Hill and the gang, and the year that Jared was able to put together and win his championship on the asphalt down there. And I got to race one feature out there, and we went into turn one a little too hot on lap one and found out there's no cushion up on the high side of the asphalt track, and I was looking backwards pretty darn quick. And but it was fun. It's a fun track to get around. It's just as much fun to race on it as it is to watch a race. So I mean, you can imagine how much excitement that place can bring you.
And I know our good buddy Tom Cole and his son that listen in each week, big fans of the Tar Cars, as we jokingly and friendly jokingly call them. They're big fans of those guys. So we're going to get Carol Husak on the show to talk to us about those as well, and everything that's going on at Chemung. She plays a big role there at Chemung. And we're gonna be getting in contact with her to give us a little rundown about another track locally here that's getting ready to fire things up down there at the Speedrome. And we'll also be featuring some coverage about races going on at Skyline. We'll talk a little 5 Mile Point, and we'll talk Woodhall, as all those tracks really within the readership of the Morning Times. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Brad, as we get ready to close things out tonight, talk to us about a couple of points that are going to stick in your mind as we get ready to go to Motorsports Expo and all the things that could be announced and things that we'll be talking about next week. It's almost like what's next Tuesday's headline going to be? What is there anything that pops in your head that we're dying to find out?
I really have no idea. I was just thinking to myself, the Motorsports Expo to me is almost like the dirt track racings, or the the local short track racing's NFL draft. You know, you kind of know what might happen, but when you get there, something totally different could happen, and it could throw you out in left field. And it's just the possibilities are just it's too much to comprehend almost.
We're gonna hold off on our buy or sell until next week, but Brad, I'll throw this out to you. We talked about it with Jacob Seelman and Tom Baker tonight. Do you think that we'll have a deal in place with new promoters for Rolling Wheels Raceway this weekend?
Boy, this weekend, I think we may be able to get a little more info out of them, but as far as an actual signed agreement, I'm not like Tom was saying, I'm not for sure how far along into that negotiation they are, because obviously, like Tom was saying himself, that Bill's not a guy who's just going to walk in and say, yeah, I want it, and sign the dotted line. He's going to microanalyze it and just make sure it's going to be a smart business move. So, I would love to see an announcement about it, but I almost wonder if it's maybe a little too soon to have for the ink to dry.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other things that'll be coming up this weekend and the following weekend. We've got some information passed along. Of course, the Smart Kinner Racing team is going to be having a chicken barbecue coming up. Be sure to check out the Turn 5 Racing Podcast Facebook page. We'll be posting a flyer for that. Frankie Guerri's having his annual party out there in Seneca Falls this weekend. Creekside Entertainment will be out there DJing that one. The Guerri clan had a very successful benefit party this past weekend. I know Dylan Groover had a very successful party as well this past weekend. I believe the Harrington gun raffle is coming up this weekend in Addison. And then 2 weeks from this weekend, you've got another one coming up for Jeff DeVoli, competitor over at Canandaigua Motorsports Park. Want to thank all of our guests tonight, Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker, Doug Elkins, for joining us on the program. We'll be right back here next Tuesday night with a full recap from Motorsports Expo. You're listening to Turn 5 Live on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Turn 5 Live is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. PerformanceMotorsportsNetwork.com is a member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guest, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or marketing partners. Thank you for listening to Turn 5 Live. You can listen to Turn 5 Live every Tuesday night right here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stay tuned for more great PMN programming.